Everybody, T-Cash here today. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about utilizing traditional financing or hard money or private lenders when you are sourcing or doing rehabs, new construction, or any type of real estate project. So I'm going to kind of talk about my experience with both and what I suggest when you're doing any type of real estate project. So let's get into it. And like always, before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the video for more fire content. Let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so when I first got started with real estate, hard money was always a term that had a bad rep to it. It was something that always shied off on. It was kind of like, hard money, whoa, you don't want to use that. Like, that's just crazy. It's hard money or private money. Like, it's just, whoa, like it was just the bad rep. And today, I see myself today mainly wanting to use hard money for all my rehabs. And it's taken me about 2.5 years to really learn the power of hard money and why I kind of like it a lot right now. So first things first, just for investment properties in general, when utilizing traditional financing, unless it's a primary residence, you can put as little as 10% down for your secondary home or your so-called investment property. Now, as far as the rehab and all the extra work you're gonna have to do to a property, unless you're using a home style or a 203K loan, you're gonna have to be coming out of pocket your own funds and your own money to source out the rehab or the renovation of your property. And this is something that I utilized within my first 2 houses and my first 2 rehabs. I used traditional financing. I purchased these properties as secondary properties, putting 10% down, and I utilized a lot of my own money and my own capital. At times where I didn't have too much capital, I utilized a lot of credit card debt. That was my way of financing these deals. So San Junipero was around a $35,000 acquisition. Now that goes from 10% down on $250,000 and then another around 2% in closing costs. So altogether, I had to come to the closing date with $35,000. Now the renovation for that project was $65,000. So with that being said, that $65,000 had come from my money, my credit card, and a lot of money I saved up from wholesaling real estate. So altogether, that project cost around $100,000 to complete. Now, with that being said, going the traditional financing way, it was a little bit of a hassle for me to acquire that property. And that's because I was balancing creating a new business and W-2. So that just made it super, super difficult when going through the government lenders. And this was an FHA loan, so it was a lot of paperwork. And not to exaggerate, it's probably over 100 documents that I had to give to my lender. Now, it was a big headache. At times I thought I'm not even gonna get this property. And it just caused a lot of issues and a lot of headaches having to go through all that paperwork. Now, these government lenders, they have to verify your income. They make sure you're going to be paid for the next year. They make sure you've been paid the last 2 years. They're going to do a hard credit check. You're going to get your credit pulled as well. FHA, they allow a low credit score, and they also are going to give you a low interest rate over the course of 30 or 15 years, whatever you decide to pick. So my interest rate was a 3.2% interest rate, which is very low. And it's a great interest rate. So today I'm paying around $1,600 a month for that property. And also with the traditional financing, it took around 45 days for me to acquire this loan. So it took a while, with all the paperwork and all the credit check and all that stuff, it took 45 days. So, it can take a little bit of a while. But with that said, it was a headache, it was a hassle to acquire this property, to say the least. And like I said, it was a $100,000 investment for myself. Still think it was well worth it at the end of the day. That property, I've gotten offers for $500,000 and it makes around $4,000 a month in passive income. So now on the flip side, I'm doing a renovation for a property right now. And this property is on a hard money or private money. And this is something that I've always looked away on because it was hard money. And now I put down 20% on this property for the hard money loan. Now, some hard money lenders do 10%, some do 20%. But the great thing about this one is they finance 100% of the renovation. So prior to receiving the loan, I am to give them a whole budget breakdown of what I think that the property needs and what a licensed contractor will do everything for the rehab for. So with the hard money, they bring out, their inspectors, their appraisers, come check out the property. And sometimes hard money lenders can fund in as little as 14 days, which is very, very fast. paperwork they need. They do need paperwork. They do need bank statement information. Sometimes they verify with your tax returns, but it's not as nearly as much paperwork you will need for FHA loan, which I personally love because the paperwork an FHA lender needs is just outrageous. I think the big thing that people are concerned about with going hard money with a private lender is the interest rate that you're going to pay. Now, my interest rate is on 9%. Now, hard money lenders can range anywhere from like 7 to 15% based on experience, credit. Yeah, basically those two things, experience and credit. Now, the more experience you have, the lower interest rate you have, and the better credit you have, the lower interest rate you have. But they're going to start around 7.5% for a hard money loan. Now, you're looking at
7.5, whoa, 8%. You're paying 9% interest? That's way too much. That's just outrageous.
It is amortized over 12 months. So my interest rate for $160,000 over these 12 months will be around $1,200 a month. And with a 20% down payment, I plan on being in and out of this property in 3 months. We're looking at, $20,000 plus $3,600. But there are other fees in hard money or private lenders that you guys should be aware of. Now, there's origination fees. You have loan fees that you have to pay as well. Origination fees can range from anywhere from 1 to 3%, depending on the lender you decide to use and the experience that you have as well. Yeah, with that being said, you're gonna pay your usual loan fees as well. So, expect, honestly, for me, it was $20,000 for the acquisition, 20% down on $100,000. Then there was another $8,000 for origination fees, lender fees, and closing costs. And then another, let's say $3,600 for the interest on these next 3 months. So we're looking, let's just say, a $34,000 investment in this whole project. Now, with that being said, I'm all in with a hard money of $34,000. My Sandra Apparel's all in $100,000. So let's just say both projects are, let's say 4-month projects. Sandra Apparel, I put $100,000 in. 4 months, I sell it, I make a good amount of money off of it. Now I say I go with the hard money lender. I'm all in $35,000 and I go and sell and make a nice profit out of it too. Personally, I like for scalability reasons using the private lender for the fact that I can do close to 3 projects at the same time with the hard money lender, being that I'm all in around $100,000 for 3 projects, being 35. Now, as far as going with the traditional lender, you're probably going to put all your eggs in one basket, being all your capital in that one property, because that's what you have to use with traditional financing. That's unless you decide to use a 203K or a home style loan. And with that being said, for scalability reasons and for trying to do a fix and flip or the BRRRR to be in and out with the hard money lender, I suggest going with the hard money or the private lender any day of the book. Any day. And that's just because it gives you room for scalability. It gives you room for, in case under budget, you have a little extra money to put from yourself into the property as well. It's kind of more safe and like I said, in scalability reasons, it's a little bit better. Now, that being said, there's always ways to refi with a traditional lender and pay back the hard money lender, cash out refi, and be on another 30-year note at a lower interest rate, and be really at ground zero as being with the traditional lender. Now, looking back into it, I really wish I would use Sandra Apparel with a private lender. So you live and you learn. As you start working with these private lenders, they start having trust in you. You start building a relationship with them, and it starts making things easier for you and your investing journey going further, being that it'll be easier for you to get financing. I think there's a lot of different pros and cons of going with traditional or going with private hard money. You should research both, find out what is the best option for you. Start off in my real estate journey, I always thought traditional was just the only way to go. Now that I've understood about the power of private hard money, it's just a whole nother realm and another way for you guys to scale up in your business. So, I would highly suggest researching hard money or private lenders in your area. And it can make investing that you say like, oh wow, Terry, you spent $100,000 on a property on a fix and flip. And realistic, I didn't have to pay $100,000. I could have probably did it less than $40,000 with another lender, or maybe even cheaper with a private lender. So look into that. and I think it'll be really useful for you guys trying to get into real estate with lower money and getting into your first deal. So let me know what you think. And like always, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more fire content. Thanks.